And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Go to the website, get the app. The app will get you delivery right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Make it down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Get some chicken tendies, some fried chicken, some fries, some coleslaw, some deviled eggs, and make a night of it for your family. All right, Aaron. If you're looking for the live reaction post-game show, you can find that on George in the Jungle. Aaron and George went live right after the game, and was George home by 9?
He was. We actually
so he missed all the good parts.
We he in person, yes.
Right.
We got started. I think it was about 9:20ish.
Okay. He might have saw a little bit of the good parts, but like in theory, if he left early,
he was home before that. That was just by the time the game ended. And we got the room set up.
He missed the good. Maybe that was once George left, everything was fine.
Maybe you got to take that up with him.
So just click the live tab, and that'll take you to George in the Jungle, and you can get Aaron and George live post game reaction. But we're recording tonight as the Bearcats took down Bryant 85-53. It was ugly in the first half. If you listened to last night on the BBP, I was worried about a shootout hangover, and that's what we got in the first half. They were disjointed. There was a lot of hero ball. There was bad passing. There was bad shot selection.
Confirmed by Wes Miller in the post-game presser.
Yeah. I mean, it's legitimately, especially sometimes you get like a 3-4 day break after the shootout, and I think it dissipates some. But like they had film on Sunday reviewing the shootout. They had one practice before this game, which Wes said was one of the best practices of the year. But then they come out, and I think I don't even know if they I didn't think it was lack of effort. I just it was just disjointed. It wasn't connected at all. Some of that, and I will say some of that, you have to give credit to Bryant. If you look at the numbers coming in, they're one of the better, by the metrics, they're one of the better defensive teams in the country. They slow teams down. They throw, I think they played man. They played 3-2 zone. They played 1-3-1 zone. Like, they junked it up. They forced Cincinnati kind of to be uncomfortable, which is what they do. So I do give them some credit in the first half, but that was, make no mistake, as bad a half of basketball as you're ever going to watch. It was ugly in every sense of the word.
It kind of felt like, I mean, we talk about the hangover, but it just kind of felt like an extension of the Xavier game in that they still weren't getting great looks when they were shooting the three. It was still with a hand in the face, at least in the first half. There was still some more of that. They weren't playing in transition nearly as often as we've grown accustomed to seeing.
You want to get to the reason why that is, Aaron? You want to know why they dominated the glass?
Five guards.
No, Bryant sent nobody to the defensive glass. Like,
they play 5 guards.
But they understand it, is what I'm saying. They don't send anybody to their offensive glass. Like, as soon as the shot goes up, they are hauling ass back down the floor. They are not trying to rebound. If you go watch that game, Aaron, when Bryant would take a shot and Cincinnati, they would miss and Cincinnati would get the rebound, there would be nobody. And within like a 12-foot radius, like there's nobody around.
Well,
because as soon as the shot went up, they were back on defense. Like, either we make it or we're set up playing defense.
That explains 57-33 in rebounds.
Nuts. Like, they didn't even try to offensive rebound.
I guess if you're playing 5 guards, I guess I don't understand how you only end up with, and I say only, but only end up with 15 offensive rebounds and only end up with 8 second chance points, I would think that you'd end up with.
Well, they defensive rebound. Like they aggressively defensive rebound. The point being, they know because they're small, they're not going to get a bunch of offensive rebounds. It's a size game, and you would literally have to send all 5 guys to try to be effective on the offensive glass if you're them. So they've just decided as a strategy, once we shoot, like that's the end of our possession. It's wild to watch. It's wild to watch because defensively, you're not rebounding again. How many times, if you paid attention, I don't know if you were like, I was dialed in on it because it was just funny to me.
I wasn't. I didn't even realize it until you said it.
Each other. Like UC would have 2 guys with their hands on the ball.
I did see some of that. Yeah.
They were the only people anywhere within 30 feet of the rim when shot the basketball.
And I feel like there were a couple times where John was like, he pulled seniority, like, "Yo, bro, I'm older here. I got this." It's not often I see John Newman acting like that, and it was that I did laugh at.
Yeah,
I feel like,
but that's why they had no interest in offensive rebounding. They only got 5. Think about how many shots they missed. They missed 44. They missed 44 shots. 21 of 66. I've got 21 of 66. 45. Correct. Yeah. 45 shots. They had 5 offensive rebounds. Like they don't even attempt.
We're not going to argue about the math.
No. I was bad on the math. Kentucky Public High School. But they just sprinted back to the other way. Like we don't have any interest in messing. So that makes it hard because you don't even get to probe in transition. They're already like standing there when you come across half court. Like, all right. So you do credit them. They made it difficult in the first half. But a lot, it wasn't just that. I'm not saying that was the sole reason for it. Cincinnati was bad. They had 10 turnovers. They shot 26% from the 25.7% from the floor, 18% from 3, and they had 10 turnovers. It was actually a miracle that they were winning at halftime.
I want to ask you about this stat because I asked George about this stat. 21 of 66 to 25 of 62. Cincinnati making 4 more shots from the field. 7 of 27 for Bryant and 6 of 17 from behind the arc for Cincinnati. So they made 1 less 3. But the disparity in free throws was insane. 4 of 9 for Bryant, 29 of 37. When is the last time you saw a game that the disparity was this big in free throws?
It's probably some game I watched at the Centos Center.
You're getting your cheap shot.
You threw that up, and I dunked it. But Cincinnati was also aggressive downhill for most of the game. Like even at halftime, they had taken 15 free throws. They were 10 of 15 in the first half, and then in the second half, 19 of 22. But they were aggressive downhill. They decided to your delight, Aaron. In the second half, they only took 6 threes. They were 4 of 6 from 3.
And they started dunking.
Downhill. They attacked. They were 16 of 27 from the floor in the second half and 19 of 22 from the free throw.
Aziz had I think his best dunk. That pass, maybe it was just because the pass from John Newman was so amazing, where Aziz just cherry picking down low and just got to go all the way, knees up, the Shaq logo, if you will, from those Meyer shoes or Walmart shoes or whatever.
I was worried. The ball dropped right at his feet, and he kind of hung for a little bit. I was like, he's going to get a T for hanging on the rim. Like
I thought you were going to say you were worried about the ball coming back and hitting him in
the junk,
in the nether regions.
But they were the second half was what you want to see from this team stylistically. They're going to take more threes, but it was just that that Bryant couldn't stop them getting downhill. Once they figured out, like, here's how we're going to attack the zone when Bryant played zone, and then when they played man, they had no answer. But yeah, it's a game where you'd like to forget the first half ever happened because, like I said, it was just ugly. Like everything about it was gross basketball. But they still score 85 points, 55 in the second half. Like this team has so much firepower,
and
much firepower.
I was still disappointed in this team offensively. I mean, when you look at Dan put up 11. I didn't feel like it was a good game from Dan in any way, shape, or form. CJ puts up 14. I think that there were probably he goes 4 of 8 from the field. I think that there's probably 4 of those 4 shots that he would love to have back, not because he missed them, because they weren't good looks.
Yeah, I mean, still, he was a little more trigger happy from 3, which I think you need from him. If he's going to be out there, I thought there were 2 or 3 times.
If you're going to make it through the ebbs and flows, sure.
I thought there were 2 or 3 times he should have pulled the trigger and didn't.
Yes, I agree. Vic looked out of sorts. Probably he was very frustrated. He looked like Bryant looked the second half. Bryant was very frustrated in that second half.
I will give Vic credit. I do think him at the start of the second half hitting those 2 buckets at the rim kind of opened things up, which Vic, and I get it. It's difficult. Like Bryant is very good at swiping down, at trying to take it away because they're pesky and they're small. Like they're the annoying. Yeah, they're the annoying. Like when you play that annoying team in pickup ball, that just swipes at everything. Like they were very good at it. I thought they fouled 5 or 6 times. It didn't get called, but
how many more were you going to call on them? My goodness.
I know. Well, like Dan had one. They just shoved him. Like he was driving baseline, and they just shoved him out of bounds, and like no foul. It went the other way for a bucket. But it's Doug Sermons. I hate Doug Sermons. He's terrible. He played in Cincinnati's favor tonight, though, a little bit, I guess, because Bryant shot 9 free throws and Cincinnati shot 37.
That's still crazy to me.
Well, here's the other crazy thing to me, Aaron.
They made 29 of the 37 because that's crazy to me.
That too. Bryant shot 9 free throws. Day had 3. Newman had 3. Skillings had 4. Aziz had 2 early. Odie had 2. Like it felt like at least the first 25 minutes. What were the first half?
Day only shot 1 free throw. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about fouls.
Oh.
So at halftime, Newman had 2 fouls. Aziz had 2 fouls.
Yeah.
Dan had 2 fouls. And then by the under 16, all 3 of them had 3 fouls. So it felt like Bryant was getting fouled quite a bit as well. And then Cincinnati, like, they just didn't foul the rest of the game because she didn't have to. Bryant was settling for jump shots kind of at that point in time.
Yeah, you went on a 30-5 run. You weren't really
31-5 to end the game.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't really getting super aggressive defensively at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much there is to really like say about this game. They got the filth of what happened on Saturday off of them
in the second half.
Played through it. Well, but I'm saying the first half was getting the filth off of you, and then the second half they were cleansed and played much better. You have questions?
I do. One of my questions, and Twitter was all abuzz with this. I feel like I've seen it everywhere. I think it was even in George and my chat earlier. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on this. People seem to think that things opened up more for the Bearcats when they stopped playing 2 bigs, when they went away from Aziz and Vic. Vic, I know you don't put a ton in the plus minus, but Vic having 2 in the plus minus is actually the lowest. It's a positive, but he had the lowest positive of everyone who played. with only 2 in that plus minus, whereas Aziz had 23. Obviously, Aziz had plenty of rebounds, and not that Vic didn't. Between the two of them, they had 29 rebounds, 5 blocks between the two of them. So it's certainly altering some things. But just, do you think that that's what opened up the offense? Is that something that we're going to need to lean into more?
So I think it's really hard to I think it's hard to have this conversation against Bryant.
It's a game by game basis.
5 guards. Well, they play 5 guards, so yeah, I do think you're going to look better.
Somebody is.
Here's kind of the part of this I'm struggling with, Aaron, and potentially it's going to change tomorrow. We'll see. Of the 3 bigs that play, Vic, Odie, Aziz, Vic is the best at this, but none of them are true low post, duck in, stick your hand up, throw him the ball, score. So when you're playing a smaller team like that, you don't get to fully take advantage of them being smaller because you don't have a dominant back to the basket scorer. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Jamil is a guy that can post up, you throw him the ball, he gets it, and he gets to his right or his left, and he makes a play at the rim. Vic can do that some. Aziz, it's not his game. And Odie, it's not his game. So when you're playing a small team, you don't get to take advantage of them being small because you don't have guys that are just natural at throw it in and punish them for being small. That's when I talked about Vic at the beginning of the second half. They did do that twice, and it was super effective. But that's not the strength of Vic's game, I guess is a good way to put it. Yeah. So against Bryant, it probably is going to look a lot better when you're playing with 1 big.
Fair enough. That makes
you know
sense.
What I mean? I don't know what advantage you gain by having 2 bigs in against a team playing 5 guards if neither of those bigs are a guy you can just, post up your little dude, we're going to throw it to you, and you're going to score.
Yeah. Another question that was coming up a lot, and listen, I love dunks. You know I love dunks. I'm not quiet about loving dunks. And if you're throwing an alley-oop, that's the pinnacle of dunks to me. So I'm all for the alley-oops.
They're a little lob happy right now.
I was going to say, lots of people are upset with how many lobs are being thrown to Aziz.
Well, here's what I would say. The only way you're going to dial in that action is to trial and error what he can actually go get in a game. Because in practice, he can just go get it, right? It's practice. Mm-hmm. Nobody's actually going to try to chuck him into the 3rd row.
Yeah, you're talking about practice. It's not a game. It's not a game. We're talking about practice. Practice.
So I do think it's gotten a little silly. The ones that they're trying. There was one today that literally they threw to the top of the backboard. He's an alien, but he doesn't have space shoes on. He doesn't defy gravity.
He's also he's still getting up to game speed, right? He's not all the way. Some of these guys have 8 games on him?
No. Well, if you count the super secret scrimmages, they've got 2 extra. He came in at game 5, I think it was. So they had 6 games that they played without him. Now they've played 5 games with him. I think there is still some when you watched Utah Valley at the end of last year, when they played in the NIT, or if you watched Utah Valley before that game like getting ready for UC to play them. The Utah Valley guys kind of had calibrated. We can throw it here. Yeah. They're not humming yet. And some of the ones that they're trying are bad. What you hope is that they are figuring out what works and what doesn't. We'll see. But as it currently stands, there has been 2 or 3 times a game where they're throwing one that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Where it's like, come on, guy. Like, you have to know he's not going to go get that. And as they learn, hopefully, they understand better, okay, this is where we can try to get one up to him. A lot of it is there's too much traffic around him.
He seems to always have a guy or two hanging on one of his arms.
Well, that's because they're deciding to throw the lobs at bad times, is what I'm getting at. Like, you want to throw the lobs when he's kind of free and clear. Remember the ones they threw to him in the NIT game? There was nobody around. He was just soaring through the air, catching and dunking.
See, I will say that, like a bad breakup, I tried to put that out of my head. So I digress.
It's fine. That's fair. But like they had the timing right, one, and they understood, like, just because he can go get it at the square in opportune times doesn't mean he can go get it at the square when there's a guy on his right arm and a guy on his left arm and he's standing flat-footed. I think that's some of it, Aaron, is they're trying to throw too many of them when he's just standing there
already under the basket.
He's not moving. He doesn't have any momentum. He's just flat-footed, and they're like, "Hey, big fella, grenade!" Like,
that's not how any of this works.
Right.
I do want to point out, I will say, and I don't know if you've caught this or not, but I've been a little critical on Simas Lukosius. Tonight, I think, was arguably his most efficient game. And
I don't know that I agree with that, but he was
comes on a night where he only had 7 points, 3 of 5 from the field, but he also had 5 rebounds, 4 of them defensive. He had 2 assists, 2 assists. He also ended up leading plus minus in 24 minutes. I thought the shots that he took were not forced. I think that that's something that I don't believe I've seen of him this year, is that he didn't feel. I actually want, much like we talked about with CJ, where there were points in time where you wanted him to shoot the ball. I actually wanted Simas to take a couple shots that he didn't take. It seems that you told Brent last night, Monday night? Yeah, last night, that we don't have a guy who can do a floater. So fast. Not so fast, my friend.
Simas has the floater for sure.
He's
the one guy that does. He's the one. Well, if you go back, Aaron, I didn't think his shots were bad against Xavier. I thought he just missed. No, he got to the floater. He got to some of the stuff that works for him.
I think
he missed.
I just think he was out of sync. Like, and I don't know if that he got hit by a car. Like, I'm not trying to denigrate that. But
what I'm saying is, when I saw his shots in that game, those are shots for him that are usually pretty good shots or high percentage shots for him that he didn't connect on. I didn't feel like I thought Dan took terrible shots.
Agreed.
In the shootout. I didn't think Simas took terrible shots. I just thought he was off.
Well,
and I don't have as much of a problem with that.
My frustration with it was the fact that it took 9 shots for us to figure that out. 1 of 9 is not good.
Well,
and I know you have also, shooters shoot. I understand that.
The other thing I would say, Aaron, and the problem was in that first half,
nobody
else was doing what they were supposed. I thought Simas was doing what he was supposed to be doing in that game, but he missed shots. Sometimes you miss shots.
What I'm getting at is he looks to be more in rhythm, and it looks to be one step closer to be recovering from this car accident, which I never thought I'd be saying on any of our shows.
I'm just giving context. Like, he had a bad shooting night, but I didn't think for him that he was taking specifically bad. Like, there were other guys. I was like, what?
Look, I'll be honest.
I scared my dog.
I've been waiting for
Saturday night.
You had me very excited coming into the season about Simas Lukosius, and I've been waiting for the offensive Simas to show up, and I still don't think I've seen it yet. And I believe
to be
his
fair,
best days are ahead of him, but
he
I
had
just
a foot
wanted
injury
to point out
through.
it was an efficient night.
He had a foot injury that he was working through, and then he got hit by a car. So
Not great.
he has not been, where they would like him to be. So yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, I think like, I thought the shootout, especially in the first half, he was one of the few guys that was doing stuff in his comfort zone, especially the first like 7-8 minutes when everybody was just like everybody except eventually when Day went out with 2 fouls, Jizzle comes in. Now, tonight, Jizzle gave them a spark again. And then is Day is he a second half guy? Is that something we need to like acknowledge with him, that he's better in the second half than he has been in the first half?
I hope
I thought tonight he was significantly, well, everybody sucked in the first half. Yeah. Significantly better in the second half again. So maybe that's something that we need to like put in the notebook. It's like, pay attention.
Let's put a pin in it and we'll come back to it. I'm not ready
to fully go down that road.
I can't take that right now, because right now I feel like nobody is having a good first half.
Well, it's 2 games in a row that nobody has had a good first half. You're correct.
Except for Jizzle last week, in any case.
Right. I do think, Aaron, keep an eye out Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least our first look of those two together.
Interesting. You had 5 guys, though, end up in double digits. If we do see Jamil potentially on Saturday, that would be super interesting to see how the rotations start to look with another big, and see how aggressive these 4 bigs then can look together. Because right now I feel like they're only scratching the surface if you have all 4 at your disposal.
Yeah, but minute distribution gets interesting, especially if you want to play more small at the 4 at times. And look, the Big 12 is not a 2 big league. There are not many teams that play 2 bigs, if any, really, in the Big 12. So you're going to have that in your bag of Simas at the 4, John Newman at the 4, different looks that you're going to be able to throw at people.
I think that's okay, because I think that what Jamil Reynolds and Aziz Bondego offer are very different.
They are completely different. Completely different.
We'll see. We'll get to that conversation when it's time to get to that conversation. But as for now, time will tell.
Yep, that's going to do it. I don't have a whole lot else. They played. Look, this time, Aaron, you would have, like we argued about the NKU game.
I wasn't going to bring it.
They won by 30, but they didn't play well tonight. And I was like, you don't have games where you win by 30 that you don't play well. They didn't play well for 32 minutes, somewhere in there. And then they won by 32. That's the nightcap. The sport will always humble you. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.